Hey, this is TWC, and this is my first attempt at running a commentary on a Resident Evil 2 speedrun for Claire A. I'll be running the game on PSXFin version 1.13, everything set to default, and we'll be recording the footage on Windows GameDVR. Just a wee bit of a brief history, I suppose, on my experience with the game. First time I played it was probably when it first came out in the late 90s.
Don't shoot!
My uncle got a copy for the PlayStation, and honestly, I don't think I've put it down ever since. It was always a very casual player, really, and only really started to attempt speedruns recently
on in this town?
And even more recent than that, I have started to submit them to Speedrun.
By the time I noticed something was wrong, the entire city was infested with
definitely
zombies.
A big influence, and probably inspirations for doing this are Carcinogen, an absolutely fantastic Resident Evil speedrunner, and of course our White Goose. Just watched his GoldenEye speedruns for so long. Very big fan of his channel too. Basketball court, well, that was actually pretty handy. Basketball court is something I would say that I still have a wee bit of bother with. It's just something I'm very inconsistent at. But that went extremely well. Probably my best on record so far. On the Leon A runs, I do normally have a wee bit of problems, or a wee bit of bother with this alley, just because of the final zombie in his position. It's always good to be able to get into the bus on the previous frame. Just didn't happen. Still haven't mastered that quick shot as well. And the boss should be one of the easiest parts in the game. Still a bit inconsistent at that. One thing I've noticed as well is that I played in probably all the different versions of Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation. So the Japanese version, the American version, and the PAL version in Europe. I know one thing that's always talked about is maybe the difference in enemies and how aggressive they are. Apparently in the American version, for example, the zombies are a lot more aggressive compared to the Japanese version, and certainly enemy placement is something that I've noticed as well, especially coming off the bus. The zombies are a lot more favourably spread out, which makes it much easier to run past. But in the other versions, the zombies are much closer together. That's a little bit more of a challenge.
Hang in there. Are you the only officer left in the building?
Who are you?
Claire Redfield. I'm looking for my brother Chris.
We lost contact with him over 10 days ago.
I remember as a kid
Chris,
playing the game
Jill Barry,
and thinking that you had
every
to
last Stars
kill
team
every
member
zombie
has
in
disappeared.
sight, getting to the police
We
station
should have
eventually.
listened to them.
And
what happened?
Being quite low on ammo and just really wondering what happens next.
There was this
it's like every time you go into another
involving
room, the next room, for
zombie-like
example,
creatures
you're always keen to see
in a mansion
exactly what's going to
in the
happen, if there's going to be enemies in the room or not, or if you're going to survive.
Chris
will there be
and the other
healing items, for example?
Discovered that Umbrella
it was definitely
behind
a lot of excitement
at the risk of
in the
their
early
own
days of playing the
lives.
game.
But no one believed them.
I remember one of the first times playing the game with a friend of mine.
Don't worry about me.
We got to the police station and we maybe had 2 bullets left by the time we got to what I would now refer to as the blue hole.
Card. You should be able to unlock the doors in the hall with this.
Trying to go into as many different rooms as possible.
But
trying to avoid as many enemies as possible. Just trying to get as much ammo as you can.
Just hang in there.
Herbs,
I'll be back
first
soon.
aid sprays, for example. And of course, at the Kendo gun shop, just, you know, thinking that you had to take out all the zombies and examine everything, essentially. I remember first time getting the shotgun there. It was like winning the lottery or something, just because you had an extra few bullets to try and get by. One thing I have definitely noticed, you know, in my playthroughs of the game is that movement is something that I still need to improve very much on. Movement can be very inconsistent. Stupid things like, you know, getting caught on the side of the walls, for example. That corner, you know, that frame just before you turn the corner and the character just runs aimlessly for a second or two. It's things like that that definitely add up toward the end of the run. Things that you maybe don't notice at that point in time, but maybe when you watch over your runs, you can see just exactly how much of a time loss you've got. And it's frustrating, of course. This hall is when I first tried to attempt a speedrun, that this hall was a little bit difficult, but yeah, I just breezed through it now. Except on the way back, of course, the zombie that you need to get past to get to the door again. I don't know how, but I don't think I've taken a hit from him in I don't know how long, but sometimes when I, you know, go for a run, that zombie just seems to get me. Pretty annoying. But so far, no hits taken. You know, pretty happy so far. Normally at this point, I'll have taken, you know, one zombie hit. I'm trying to plan, you know, maybe a herb on the way back past the liquor. Just a clean enough dairy grab. I would say at the moment I would judge myself as a pretty competent runner of the game. Pretty confident in that aspect. Because I think, you know, maybe like everybody, at one point in time I explored every inch of every room. I know the game pretty well. I think I've always been that type of gamer, really. You know, going all the way back from maybe my Super Nintendo days. The first time you ever, you know, figure out the glitch in the first map, in which you're able to get the warp whistle. Mind blown. And then of course playing games such as, you know, Fallout 3 in my later years, as well as Borderlands, trying to explore everything, and especially in Fallout 3, for example, you know, picking up everything, paper clips, clipboards, trying to just to get that extra bottle cap. So you know, I'm doing the voice recording with my smartphone. It's, you know, Sony Xperia L3, I think. Something I got recently. The reason for that is just because my setup is just not good enough. It's probably why I'm not able to run a timer on the screen with the gameplay. Just because the laptop, I would say a pretty good guess would be that the laptop's roughly 10 years old. Some inventory management problems. Probably cost me an extra second. But movement overall, you know, I've noticed that I have been caught on a corner, but I mean, it's been clean enough so far. This is actually my 4th run of the day. My first run was grand, until a stupid mistake cost me maybe an hour into the game. I get killed by the lickers in the lab, which is just dreadful. It's definitely the place where runs go to die, I think. A pretty consistent liquor dodge as well. It's something I've definitely improved on. It's just, you know, sort of small differences you notice between the two characters. So Leon, from what I learned by watching, you know, runs such as carcinogens, was that I think it's 6 steps before you run toward the wall, and then do a sort of a semicircle around the liquor, which prevents him from, I don't know, using his other claw. And it's probably a pretty safe dodge. I mean, I would say I hit it 90% of the time. Of course, the other 10% is definitely when it's been going very well in a run, and of course, liquor damage. There's an extra 2 seconds. This fella here. I think I maybe hit this dodge 1 in 10 times, which is just not good enough. When I say dodge, I mean just a sort of a straight run up the hall, really. It is what it is. One sort of very big difference as well is the difference in cutscenes.
Claire,
Leon
you made
alien
it.
cutscenes.
Yeah.
They could be a little bit longer,
Have you
each
seen a little
cutscene,
girl around
but
here?
there are less of them.
Yeah, you just missed
Whereas
it.
in the
Who is she?
Claire run,
I don't
I have
know.
noticed that there's a lot of
But
shorter
it's too dangerous
cutscenes.
for her to stay here
And I
alone.
think some of the
Leon,
cutscenes seem
I'll
to
go
be,
look for her.
you know,
You
sort
go
of
and
longer
find us
than
a
the
way
others.
out of
And what I
here.
mean by that is the
Of course,
Marvin
but before
cutscene
I
at the
forget,
start.
here's a radio.
I would normally get out of that room on Leon
That way
at
we can keep in
roughly
touch
the
if something
5
comes
minute
up.
mark, or just slightly over. With Claire, it's just sort of, you know, more than that. I'd also like to thank a guy who sits at first place in the moment for the emulated PS speedruns. I hope I'm saying his name correctly, Anhelion, the guy from Ukraine. He's just an absolutely fantastic runner. I think he's near enough a task level speedrunner, certainly on the A scenarios. And I think with his runs, you know, that's pretty much the optimized runs, at least in my opinion anyway. I mean, I don't see an awful lot of room for improvement on each, really, if any. Yeah, he's a pretty great runner. I'm sort of consistent with this part of the run and these dodges. I mean, that was easy enough, but it's always this guy here. I think I always run too close to the wall, which may cost me an extra second or 2. But overall, that'll be enough. I think, and don't quote me on this because I could be completely wrong, but you know, I've read the Resident Evil books, Caliban Cove, City of the Dead, or City of the Doomed, whatever it happens to be, and it always quotes Claire as running for 5 miles daily. So I think that Claire's movement speed is faster than Leon's. Just fast enough for it to be noticeable. And again, I could be wrong, but I don't know, I always accredit the books, I suppose, to, you know, maybe picking up on that. That corner, bastard. remember one of my first Clear A speedruns, I completely forgot that once you use the valve handle, those zombies in that corridor disappear. So in one of my first runs, whenever I got to that corridor, I took out the zombies and only realised later on that in fact they do actually despawn once the valve handle is used. One thing I was definitely guilty of in my earlier runs was pressing start too much. And inventory management in general, I think, is something I can improve on greatly. And certainly dodges as well. One difference as well between the American and Japanese version is the zombies in the upper hall. There is an extra one, and positioning is certainly different, which makes this part in the Japanese version much easier to run through. In one of my first runs, I actually got bit by the zombie on the opposite side of the hall before you would go to the helicopter crash. And he had absolutely no business biting me whatsoever, but somehow I still managed it. I still PB'd on that run as well. Pretty clean. And when I first attempted to do a speedrun on Leone, once I came back and dodged the liquor, I completely forgot about the crank in the room and had to go back and get it at a later point, which I think cost me a few seconds, and I don't know why I'm trying to use the valve handle on the fireplace. I suppose if you maybe use the valve handle or other object on the picture itself, you may get the jewel, but unfortunately that's not an option in the game. I'm from Belfast in North Ireland, and I understand I can have a pretty heavy accent, pretty harsh at times. So if anyone watches this and struggles to understand me at all, I would be happy to write some sort of translation for Irish English and rest of the world English. That was a pretty clean average room dodge as well. It's one thing I definitely need to get more consistency at, because I think I ran the game 100 times and never took any damage in the room at all. And just recently I started to take damage again, which is quite frustrating, especially when you think you are on for a pretty good time, and once you see the timer, you get that little bit of adrenaline because you know that you're maybe 20 seconds ahead of where you normally are, and then you take damage and that time is lost. I think as well, I hear a lot of people talk about RNG, random number generation, and I don't know, I personally think that RNG is, if it's something that can definitely be influenced, then I believe that if you don't take damage in certain parts of the game, then you generally tend not to. And again, getting caught on the corner of the wall. But yeah, with the whole RNG thing, I think that it's also influenced the other way, in that if you do take damage in certain parts, then you're more inclined to take damage a little bit further on. I remember in my earlier days of playing the game and getting to the chief's office, I was convinced that he was voiced by Kelsey Grammer. the guy who played Fraser for so many years. A fantastic show that was. I remember watching some videos on YouTube about Resident Evil and Easter eggs and things, and I think is it the picture on the Chief's desk here?
I thought you were
is actually the
another one
picture
of
Marty and
Are
the
you
dog
Chief
and the
Irons?
girl from Back to the Future.
That's me.
That's pretty cool.
And just who are you? No, don't bother telling me. It makes no difference. You'll end up just like all the others.
I think when you look at the Chief's
That's
room,
the mayor's daughter.
her office or whatever you want
I
to
was
call it,
told to look after
you
her.
can certainly see a lot of
I
symbolism
failed
here. You know, he
miserably.
definitely seems to be a pretty
Just
aggressive
look at
guy.
her.
Lots
She
of
was
trophies
a
everywhere.
True beauty. Her skin,
Birds of
nothing
Prey, for
short
example.
of perfection. But it
think
will
it tells you a
soon
lot about the
putrefy,
man
and she will
himself.
turn into a zombie
Certainly
within
a
the
predator.
hour, like
Certainly
all
a
the
hunter.
others.
There must be
Aggressive.
some way to stop it.
In a manner of speaking,
Driven.
there is. Either by putting a bullet through her brain, or by
You know, one earlier
decapitating her
playthroughs of the
completely.
game when you do sort of explore every corner of every room and you pick up all of the
And to
the
think
diary
that
entries by
taxidermy
the
used
different
to be
police
my
people
hobby.
in the precinct.
But no longer. Please.
And it tells a pretty
I'd
grim
really like
tale
to be
of
alone now.
exactly what happened. Oh, this room always got me in earlier speedruns because I completely forgot that when the camera angle changes to when you run into this room to meet Sherry, I completely forgot about the camera changes, so I'm still trying to run in different
Wait.
directions,
Let me go!
which definitely
Easy,
costs a few
easy there.
seconds. Of
I'm not
course.
a zombie. You're safe now. Leon, come in. I found the girl, and I've cleared the wreckage that was blocking the corridor.
Got it.
I think Sherry was definitely she's definitely a good part of the game. She definitely tells
My
that
name's
bit
Claire.
more of a story.
What's yours?
But
Sherry,
Do you know where your
I don't
parents
know, I
are?
suppose
They
that
both work at the Umbrella
for a young
Chemical
girl
Plant,
who's maybe going
near
through
the city
what she's
limits.
going through,
The chemical plant?
she
Then
does seem concerned,
what are
of
you
course, but
doing
at the
here?
same time she
My
seems
mom
to
called
far too
and told me to go to
happy-go-lucky
the police
considering
station
this
because it was
situation,
too
and
dangerous
she's
to
all
stay at
too
home.
willing to run away
From the
on her
look of
own.
things, I'd say she was probably right. But it's dangerous here as well. You'd better come with me.
But there's
You know,
something out
moments of
there.
danger
I don't know what it
when
is.
she hears
but I
Birkin
saw
here, for
it.
example.
Much larger
She
than
just
any of
decides
those
to run
zombies.
away from
And it's coming
the
after
only
me.
normal seeming adult that she's probably
What
run
was
into
that?
so far.
That's what I was telling you about. It's here.
Close-ups,
Sherry,
on
wait!
the early game, of course. I remember playing the game with my friends as a kid and coming up with all these mad theories as to why people have
Chief?
disappeared. So the chief and the woman, for example, you know, my friends and I coming up with these ideas thinking that the woman, of course, turned into a zombie, chased the chief, got the chief. But then, of course, that wouldn't explain why, you know, the both of them have disappeared. Definitely some plot holes, but I suppose that's all part of being a kid, isn't it? See, at this part of the run I would always sort of normally consider, you know, maybe going for a herb here, just as a precaution. Because it's the run on the way back, you see. I'm normally consistent enough with the first dog going to the sewer entrance. Of course I don't take any damage going to the sewer entrance itself, but then it's coming back, so it's those dogs really. I've done sort of many runs and there's maybe, I don't know, 8 times out of 10 I'll take no damage. You know, 1 out of 10 times I'll maybe take 1 hit, and just every now and again I just seem to take a barrage of hits. And it's just so annoying, but it is what it is. Definitely the same on the next part when you try and dodge the dogs with Sherry. Sometimes I will not take any hits at all pretty consistently, and then I'll maybe do other runs in which I'm actually getting a better time at that point, and all of a sudden I'll take damage.
Sherry, I've been looking everywhere for you. I was so worried. We've got to go now, honey, okay? If we stay here, that monster will find us. Let's go.
No, I won't.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
So in terms of the commentary
It's not
itself,
that, Claire.
I don't know if I mentioned
It's
this
because
at
of my
the start of
daddy.
the video,
He's over
but
there.
I am gonna
I heard him
record
call my
this on
name.
phone. Actually, I did mention that at the
Daddy
start.
must have been
That's okay, I
attacked by the
just completely
monsters. I have to help him.
Wait, Sherry, don't go alone! Sherry! Sherry!
I don't know what I was thinking of there. I guess I forgot and thought I had control of Claire again and was trying to pick up the club key. Okay, there we go, there's one. Hopefully that's the only one. Sherry definitely slows the pace a bit. I mean, sometimes when I am going through the run and it gets to the Sherry part, I think I'd rather watch paint dry. In earlier runs, I actually didn't realise that Sherry was just small enough to be able to run between 2 of the crates if they are right next to each other. It can be very easy to get turned around, of course. Input as well is something I've noticed that I don't really know if input is something that can definitely be improved on. I mean, sometimes I've seen that I can pick up an item and have it in the inventory straight away and ready to go, all within maybe what, 2-3 seconds at the very most. Okay, that was handy. That poor dog didn't know what day of the week it was. But yeah, input I've noticed with certain items. So in Leon A, if you pick up the shotgun, for example,
Sherry,
it
are
goes
you
into your
okay?
inventory straight away.
Did you find your dad?
With Claire A picking up the
Yes,
grenade launcher,
I'm okay.
I've noticed that it just takes a
But I
little bit
couldn't
longer.
find him. But I did find
Is that
something
a
else
thing,
for
or-
you. Here.
Thanks, sweetie. Now, why don't you come over here? I want you to stay with me.
Claire, I can't reach the ventilation hole anymore. But don't worry, I'll find another way. I can take care of myself.
Wait, Sherry, come back! Sherry! Sherry!
Okay, so fingers crossed here that I get by the dogs without any damage or minimal. What the shit? Oh, come on. Seriously? 3 3 hits, still on fine. Okay. I'll take that. Let's just hope that I don't get destroyed by this liquor here. Okay. Okay. 1 hit. Still on fine. I am happy enough with it. I don't really understand the HP charts or anything. I know that different enemies will of course do different amounts of damage. But I just don't know the numbers really. So on we go. Coming to the blue hall. Well, this office in particular, that was close. I have lost track of how many times I've actually get stuck behind that box. Normally what I do is I will shift a little bit the face of the zombies, and I'll wait for the front one to maybe take 3 steps. 3 steps is okay because I think it gives you enough space just to get around everybody else. And murder hall, so fingers crossed here. Okay. Oh my god. I have to be on caution now. Oh. That was a lot closer than what I would have preferred, but I will take that. So this room, if I play the game 100 times and nothing's happened in this room, that's an understatement. The last time I done a Leon A run, I think I was too close to the window, but I used the first aid spray, and as I done that and the liquor jumped out of the window, he clawed me. He literally clawed me in midair. I didn't even think he could have some sort of attack frame as he does that. Oh, this guy here. Every time. Okay, still on fire. I just hope for a good run on the way back. Excuse me. Oh. Okay, let's just hope I get close enough to the wheel itself and don't examine the picture 50 times. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, that still maybe cost me an extra 1 or 2 seconds. So this guy, the first zombie from this room, he has killed my run more times than I would care to admit. I don't know why, maybe I've been too stiff on the way back or something. Okay, that's handy. We're on. Ah, marvellous. And I think we're on for a run here. The dodges on the way back here are simple, but they look so good for the camera. I know it is possible to get that door on the previous frame. It just didn't materialise, but still clean enough so far. This liquor up here is a pain in the ass because anytime I've ever been on caution on a run and got up here, that liquor has got me every single time. In my earlier days of playing the game, seeing these zombies come through the windows and thinking firstly, oh god, will I have to face these on the way back, and being absolutely terrified, and playing through and not having to face said zombies, and the relief was fantastic because that was probably in the days before I even knew a B scenario existed, and then playing said B scenario, coming across the zombies and just thinking, oh for fuck's sake. This guy here, I walked up here because I was being very cautious. At this point I was probably thinking I'm 1 hit away from being on caution. Will obviously slow me right down, possibly kill the run because I am nowhere near a healing item, and it'll be a while before I am close to one. Inventory management, getting caught on the wheel. My last Leon A run, I PB'd, got sub 109, and I got here and pressed X on the machine instead of actually using the cogwheel, so that was pretty annoying. But a PB is a PB. so far. And we're probably talking, what, about 35 minutes at the moment. I think the in-game timer itself, that starts is at the moment that you control your character, so it can be anything, I think, between maybe 20 and 23, maybe 25 seconds, something like that. And it ends when the cutscene ends, when you beat Birkin for the last time. Would that be correct? I definitely don't know. In my opinion, I don't think I know enough about the game to be able to time things to perfection. But luckily for myself, and probably many others as well, we have some fantastic resources on a Resident Evil 2 speedrun. Some of the most gifted runners I've certainly ever watched. Guys like Bogba Soup, for example. Good God, I watched so many of his runs. Fantastic player. And this guy here, yep, definitely taking the overcautious route. Because I think that even if you run toward him, every time the camera changes, I think he goes back to default. I'm not 100 on that, but that does seem to be the case, so I think it's safe enough to run until you get to the last camera angle, and then of course you'll have to walk. But okay, I'm still happy enough. Still not on caution, the run is still strong enough, in my opinion.
Sherry, you're okay.
I'm glad to see you're safe, Claire.
One thing I would definitely love to learn is the quick inventory. Being able to move through it very quickly. I can do it, I'm just not consistent enough. The run has been pretty good so far. I think it's definitely one of my best so far, so you know, I don't want to make any silly mistakes.
Stay here and wait for
try
me,
anything
okay?
too flamboyant, so to speak. Poor Fraser getting what he deserves. Barnes is a top-class prick. What a creepy man. I would love to have a crack at the GameCube version. Especially being able to skip these cutscenes, for example. I did try and download the Dolphin emulator and run RE2,
Not bad, girl.
But unfortunately my laptop is shit.
Leave my town.
It just can't.
Everyone's gonna die.
During the door opening sequences, for example, it'll run pretty steadily at 60 FPS.
Shut up.
When I take control of the character, it runs at a steady enough sort of 20 to 30 FPS. But then, if anything else appears in the
How could they
room
do
or
that
whatever,
to me after
space,
everything I've done for them?
Unfortunately, the FPS
So
will
it's
drop
true.
to. I've seen
You
it drop
have
to as
been
low as
working with
14.
Umbrella.
And of
Then
course,
you must know about the G
I don't
virus.
think that's a run
What
that
is
would
it?
sort of
Tell
pass
me.
any sort of quality checks.
You must know.
Because if the game
agent
becomes a little
that
bit
can turn
unplayable,
humans
surely the video will just become a little bit unwatchable.
Superior to the T-virus in every way. Dr. William Birkin is the genius behind the project.
William Birkin.
I'm sure
grenade launcher
you've
is
already
huge.
seen this little girl running around here somewhere. Sherry,
I wonder if.
isn't it?
So,
In case you
the
haven't
videos I used to
already
watch of
figured
Carcinogen, for example,
The monster
he used
has
to
been
talk about the
tearing my
hitbox of the different
Is yet
characters.
another
So,
product
Leon's
of the
hitbox
G
is bigger than Claire's.
ultimate
But
bio.
is it when the character holds a
Umbrella
weapon?
must be trying to cover
I don't know,
its
it's because
tracks.
they take up more space,
if
something
I
like
have
that. Their hitbox,
I'm going to
gets
take
bigger,
you with me.
which makes you more susceptible to enemy attacks.
I
Is that
just
the case?
can't
Pretty
take
interesting. So,
the pain.
does holding a weapon slow I think that the norm here is maybe 5 acid rounds. One of my earlier runs of Clary, when I got here, I pumped all 6 into this guy and he was still standing, and for the life of me I couldn't figure out why. It's because the little bastards that he spawns, I didn't realise if they were actually in front of him. I'm saying him as if this thing has an actual gender. But when he spawns these little pricks here, if they go in front of him, they take the acid instead of that. What is this? Okay, that's pretty it is what it is, I suppose. Excuse me. The run has been steady enough in my opinion for so far. I think that going into caution here, it's not going to give me too much of a hit. Maybe a couple of seconds, but I know coming up it's a Sherry sequence anyway, so... Oh god. Who moved that elevator?
Claire, you came back!
I can't
What about those
believe the man who
graphics?
developed the G-Virus is actually her father.
What's wrong, Claire?
It's nothing. But I think I found a way out of here. We should be able to find someplace safe if we can just make it out of town.
But...
Claire better
Don't
check
worry,
her
I'll
right knee.
protect you.
I have
I
no idea what's
promise.
going on there.
But you have to make sure you don't leave my side. Leon, are you still there? We're leaving.
Are you crazy? The streets are still crawling with
I miss
zombies.
It'll
these
be all
cutscenes,
right, trust me.
in-game
We found a way to the
movie
sewer.
sequences.
Follow us later.
I would
Claire!
mostly do my
Claire!
runs without volume
Wait!
just because I am mostly in the living room and my partner will be watching the TV beside me, so I don't think she wants to listen to Resident Evil 2 when she's trying to watch NCIS or something. Yeah, the parts with Sherry, as she tries to keep up with Claire, are just a bit annoying, I suppose. Sometimes, you know, you're so deep into your run and you're maybe focused on your own movement that you forget about Sherry and she's miles away and she's lying there in a ball on the floor or ground or wherever she happens to be, and you have to go back and get her. I mean, she may be scared and she's only a kid and everything else, and it is only a video game, but come on, I mean, especially if you're in the same room together within eyesight, surely you shouldn't need to curl up in some sort of ball.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Birkin's big wobbly eye in his arm couldn't even see the birds. Good. Otherwise, we wouldn't have much of a story from here on. The way Sherry falls there, I don't know, it just reminds me of playing Metal Gear Solid Special Missions or
Where are
something,
you?
and you fall one of the genome soldiers and they fall as such. I think it's on the variety stages of the game, a puzzle or something like that. A bit of a different frame rate. Lovely. opening the map to tell those fucking flies exactly where to go. Okay, happy days. I've definitely been guilty in the past of picking up the metal from one timer and the cutscene doesn't start straight away, which then causes you to have to run around for a couple of seconds. So that was clean enough, so I'm happy enough. Okay, Birkin's got an iron bar. Sherry should be done for here. See what happens there. Bit of a weird family. I'm sure they're great fun at parties. I've definitely been guilty of taking a hit in the sewers. That spider who clings to the corner. If you run too close, he will get you with the front legs. But certainly, the spiders in the sewer, this is what I can't understand, and something I don't know if I've accurately measured, but it seems that these spiders are more aggressive in the Claire scenario compared with Leon. Is that true? It's like the spiders have been on some sort of performance enhancer on the Claire scenario, because the spiders in the Leon scenario just, just like to chill out and maybe stretch the legs or something.
You're here to steal my husband's G-virus, aren't you? You are tenacious, I'll give you that.
Husband? Then you must be Annette. Sherry's mother?
What?
Sherry's wandering around alone in the sewers. You have to help me find her.
That's impossible. I told her to go to the police station. What's she doing here? William will be after her.
William?
Over dramatic
That's right.
movement of
the creature that's been causing all this
characters in earlier
destruction is
video
none
games.
other than my
Something that my
own
friend and I used to joke about a lot. My friend, who is probably one of the reasons I'm, doing this commentary as well.
So those
is
rats
that,
were the
especially
carriers
during
of
the
the
Marvin
virus?
scene when
As a
he
result
points
of
the
this
gun at you,
virus-induced
it's just such an
transmutation,
over-the-top
William should have
movement of
lost
the
any
arm.
prior memories he had as a human by now.
But
I
it's
tried to
brilliant.
save him, but I'm afraid it's already too late.
But
And that's not even the
We
entire
used to
story.
send each other voice
Every
clips
G-virus
of
bioweapon,
some of the
including
terrible
William,
voice acting
has
in
the
Resident
ability
Evil.
to
Certainly the
implant
first Resident
embryos
Evil game.
into other life forms. That's why he's after Sherry.
what are you trying to say?
The bodies of
Especially with
individuals
the
with
likes of Barry
non-related
Burton.
genetic coding are likely
There
to
must be a
reject
back
the
door
embryo.
somewhere.
Since Sherry is his
Fantastic.
daughter, that possibility is non-existent.
I used to enjoy
It's an
watching
inherent
some of the
survival
Resident
instinct.
Evil parody videos as well. Is it Gary's mod, Gmod,
It's Sherry.
something like that?
You go that way.
It was fun for a while, I suppose, but after maybe 6 or 7 videos, it's just not that funny anymore. Definitely been grabbing a herb here. One thing I certainly do in the different speedruns is I'll sort of use the Leon A scenario as a barometer for certain points that I need to be in the game. So for example here, I think on the Leon A scenario, I on average would always get here around 55 minutes, I think. Or not 55, sorry, 46 maybe? 45, 46. So of course the Claire scenario is longer. So I mean, I suppose I'm happy enough to be here at this point. I definitely haven't mastered the quick croc strat. Certainly when the possibly quicken the pace. I don't know if that's necessary or not, or yeah, I'll just go with this anyway.
Come on, wake up, Sherry.
Horrible. What's going on in this family here?
My stomach. It hurts.
Don't worry, you'll be fine. Come on, let's go.
Okay, didn't examine the rubbish 50 times. I'll take. Stop in the rear. Come on. Aye. See, it's stupid shit like that that costs me time in every single run. Ah. Come on, Sherry. Why are you walking backwards? Come on, sweetheart. Okay, good. She is in the scene. So I have to go back and get her. Okay, let's get ready for after the sewers to the marshalling yard. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I absolutely love soundtracks of video games, and Resident Evil 2 is certainly no exception. The marshalling yard, the latter half or later half, second half, whatever you want to call it, is pretty class. I think there's a version of it uploaded to YouTube that lasts for 10 hours or something. And the picture just changes every now and again, but it's the comments that are fantastic. One guy wrote that the music was just absolutely perfect for the mood, exactly what was going on at that point. You know, Leon and Ada, or Claire and Sherry, for example, it's the first time, probably all game, where they haven't encountered so many enemies, or there's no immediate threat. It's just them two, out to go on a train. It's peaceful, there's no sky. And there's certainly what would be the right word? But it certainly it certainly highlights the fact that it's the beginning of the end of, you know, the game, the story, essentially. Train just sort of freezes and stops where it is. I definitely get a little bit nervous, thinking the game may crash, because if that were to happen at this point in the run, I don't know if I would ever pick up a controller ever again. In several runs today, I got to the lab, got destroyed by the lickers, and then in the second run I got about 35 minutes or something like that into the run, and it was going okay, but then I got to the murder hall, and of course it lived up to its name and absolutely murdered me. Okay, some decent dodges. That first zombie can be a bit of a prick at times. Okay, well, I go for safety. Let's get all the rounds actually. I do have inventory space, and truthfully I will grab this first aid spray because the later parts of this game, you know, have a tendency to not be very kind to me. in the American version of the game and the PAL version as well. I think the Magnum bullets are in a different part of the train, so they are in that corner. And it was only through watching speedruns I actually realised they were there. Before that, I had no idea. So, thanks again, Carcinogen. Come on.
Claire, my stomach hurts.
Hang in there, Sherry. Your forehead's burning up. I've got to hurry before the embryos pupate.
I definitely think the Birkin fight here is a lot easier on the Claire scenario, because with the flame rounds in the grenade launcher, or incendiary rounds, whatever you want to call them, you're able just to pump away, and the guy can there is a very good strat. Of course, you run up here, and you maybe pump 3 or 4 at him. You run across a bit, and then I'm shit at that, so I try not to bother.
Sherry.
Okay, so we're tracking at maybe 57.5 minutes. Not so bad so far. I think at this point I would maybe be 3 or 4 minutes behind the Leon A scenario, which of course, taking into account the fact that the Claire scenario is longer, I'm completely okay with that. I mean, apart from some silly mistakes, I mean, with my skill level so far, I couldn't really have asked for a better run at this point.
Claire?
Again, taking those silly mistakes into consideration, of course.
Isn't this...
That's okay. You keep it.
But
I'm
of
sure
course,
it'll keep you
we
safe.
are at the lab. This is where
Thank
the
you, Claire.
adrenaline definitely starts to kick
Even
in.
though
Especially
I'm an only
considering the
child,
fact that I
neither
have
of my
had a
parents
very
ever spent
positive
much
feeling
time
about
with
this
me
run from
because
the
of their
start.
work.
So, okay, buckle
I grew
up.
up
Let's see
alone.
what happens next, and
But
hopefully I
now
don't
that
get
you're with
absolutely
me,
destroyed here.
I finally have someone to rely upon.
Of course, thinking about the
Sherry.
liquor room. Is it the YOLO
Rest
horde,
here for a
where you
bit.
get the modisc,
I'll be
for
right
example?
back.
That was another
As soon as
reason
I
why I
found the
had to
antidote
do another
for you.
run, because I got to the modisc room. Sorry, excuse me. I got to the modisc room and got the vaccine, or the base vaccine. Ran out of the room, completely forgot the modisc, didn't realise, got to the liquor room, and of course shot an acid round at the wall because the auto aim didn't work because there was no zombie in the hall. So then of course I ran forward, I seen the liquors and thought, uh-oh, something isn't right here. And then I ran past and I looked at my inventory because I wanted to use the modisc to of course open up the last part of the game. No modisc, and I had to restart. Brutal. Okay. Okay, that's definitely cost me an extra second, but not terrible overall. Okay, that was handy enough. Sometimes I try and use the fuse item on the wall or something else, and it costs a few seconds, but I'm happy enough with that. Okay, so we're probably sitting at about an hour of in-game time at the moment. So when I go to use the fuse on well, where it's supposed to be used to generate the power. With Leon A, I would normally be sitting at 56.5, sort of maybe between 56.5 and 57 minutes. So, I mean, I could be putting the fuse in with a maximum of 4 minutes over. I'm quite happy with that. Again, everything could go tits up, so don't want to count the chickens before the hatch, of course. Okay, let's try and get a good angle. Okay, that looks good. In one of my earlier Leon A runs in which I PB'd, I ran too close, didn't have a good enough angle on that switch, so when I started to run again, the plant monster got me in a hug, and I just couldn't understand that. And as I went to run, the other one got me as well. And then as I got away, they shot poison at me, which I just narrowly avoided. Unnecessary time losses, okay, fingers crossed. Okay, see you later. Okay, still on fine, okay, perfect. Okay, that's okay, that's okay. All I have to do now is not completely shit myself when I come to the red card key room. Hopefully that first zombie just doesn't get his hands on me. Okay, the run is on. The run is definitely on. Okay, I could definitely turn back here. Okay. Okay, every time. But it wasn't too bad. I definitely think that once you get the red card key, if you keep running in that direction and sort of go around the tables, for me, it's definitely a safer run, at least in my experience, except for getting caught on the surface, of course.
Wait!
But there has been times when I have went back the other way and the zombie has been there again, and of course you're having to shoot him.
No one will take it from me. This is the most significant piece of research my husband has ever left in my hands.
Stop it! Sherry's in serious trouble. William implanted her with his embryos. There's no telling when they'll puke.
Especially,
and if
with speed runs, you do not want to count on anything except for your own movement.
William.
Of course, it is possible to manipulate the movement of enemies. Your skill level allow you to do as such. But especially with the final Burden fight in the A scenario, it's the running past him straight away, standing on the P for platform, of course just getting away as many shots as you can. I don't know what it is, I just cannot seem to do that. Every time I do it, I make an absolute fool of myself, and he is able to get away hits on me every time.
Tell me what I need to know. How can I save Sherry?
But let's just hope he doesn't have his way with me today.
Everything you need to know to prepare the antidote.
So far,
right
I am
here.
definitely tracking for a PB. I mean, I should be getting the
and tell her
the evacuation sequence. That should be over by maybe 1:05.
Sherry.
Fingers crossed.
Annette.
Self-destruct sequence has been activated.
It's not going to take another 20
the
seconds.
Self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed to the emergency car at the bottom platform.
Okay, so that was roughly 9 seconds ahead of what I thought was going to happen. Get that grenade launcher equipped, just in case you're going back through the liquor room for the second time. Yeah, it's definitely a big risk. I haven't got the strat. I haven't got the strat nailed as of yet. But I'm gonna try something different. I think what I'll do is, once I go into the room, instead of running straight away, I think I'll walk.
Where are you?
I can see you on the monitor.
I don't know how much of an impact that could have.
Never mind that right now. Leon, you have to go back and get Sherry for me. I left her in the security office. Please, you must save her.
Wait a second! What are you gonna do? Where are you going?
I still have a few loose ends to take care of. I'm counting on you.
I definitely loved about this game as a kid before you figured everything out was theories as to why characters behaved in such a way. I just hope that I don't have any bad zombie hole.
All employees proceed to the bottom platform. All employees proceed to the bottom platform.
Okay, so we're running at just over 1 minute at the minute. It's certainly not the world record level, but I'm still happy overall. I mean, we're maybe talking one of the most, maybe 5 minutes between now and the end. So I'm still very much on for a PB. Most things can still go wrong, but fingers crossed. Tracking at about 1.5 at the minute. Just on third here. Why did I go there? I thought I was going to get the red car key again.
All employees
my last one. I got into the fight and I did do my best, but honestly the fight was all over the place. It wasn't great. Movement was terrible. My own movement, of course, and he actually killed me. So we're roughly at about 111 and a half here. Let's say I take 2 minutes to get this guy. That's still not bad. Oh god. Not bad. No messing about here. Okay. I am getting away with murder here. Okay, so could go very, very wrong here. Just go for it. Oh, okay. Brilliant. So we're just over 12 and a half. 112 and a half. Yellow or orange caution at this point, I really could not care. The PB is most certainly on.
All employees proceed to the bottom platform.
Good. I'm just gonna go away for 1 second.
Hurry!
I have the antidote. If I give it to her.
Claire, what's happening?
Not now. Come on, Sherry, wake up. Wake up. Please wake up. Claire? Where am I?
It worked!
Oh, Sherry. You're gonna be okay.
Thanks, Claire.
It's over.
No. I have to find my brother.
You're right. This is just the beginning.
My God has protected you. It will always be with you.
Claire.
Sherry.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's see. I think maybe this should be 14, something like that. Credits go away. Soundtrack for the credits is pretty good. really thinking about it. It's just that, well, I suppose I did think about it a bit, because Commander is taken from Star Trek The Next Generation. Commander William Riker, one of my favourite characters of all time. Okay, 1:14:36. That's not bad. That's certainly a PB. Okay, and an S ranking as well.